All right, everybody. So welcome to March 14th. And this is what we'll get started with today. So we're going to go over the week ahead right now. Then we are going to send a greeting to Owen, who won't be able to run his conversation club today because he's still in Nashville. But I'll use this as an opportunity to get everybody to work together with a live conversation on the Google Classroom stream that I haven't done in a while. And after that, we will go over, we'll review sharing a Google Doc, because I think that's one skill that everyone needs to work on a bit more. Sharing the Google Doc, that's something everybody needs a little more practice on. And then we'll wrap up chapter 2 with the progressive era reading. And then we'll take a break and we'll move into chapter 3. Chapter 3 is about cinema, movies. So we'll have a nice conversation about how people around the world process movies, a great medium that has influenced culture everywhere. And then we'll do a little bit of prep work for Wednesday, and I'll introduce the homework. I've already posted it. And we'll wrap up with a little discussion of chapter 3. Sound good? Okay. So let's get started. A few more people have just come in from the waiting room. Excellent. So I'm going to move to the next slide and play for you a video you might have seen on the WhatsApp group. So everybody knows this young man. He is Owen. He is our volunteer from Boston College. And he usually runs a conversation club and helps everybody out with their assignments and gives everyone a little extra speaking practice on Monday afternoons. But he cannot. Here is why. Take a listen.
Hey everyone, Owen here. This past week was my spring break, so I went to Nashville, but unfortunately my flight on Saturday back to Boston was canceled due to the storm, and my next flight is going to be on Monday, so I'm currently stranded here in Nashville until then.
So that's our buddy Owen. So he is in Nashville right now, waiting for a flight out. He was intending to fly out on Friday, but he couldn't. So the next flight is today. So anybody know where Nashville is? What state?
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yes, good job. Good job. Yes, so Nashville, Tennessee. It's famous for music, actually, country music. So it's considered this home of, it's like the way Hollywood is famous for movies, or Chicago is famous for deep dish pizza. Nashville is famous for country music. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the Google Classroom stream. Now, Natalia, you've already done this, I think this morning or last night when I posted this. I posted Owen's video. Erica also wrote some kind messages. And I want to give everybody a little bit of writing practice and also practice having a conversation on a message board. So what the lesson here is, when you get into university, a lot of times your assignments will be to message on one single board together, just like this, and then comment and then look and read each other's comments. So over the course of several days. So we can use this opportunity to do that. So everyone can send Owen a message on the Google Classroom stream right now, and then we can read each other's comments and reply to each other's comments for practice. And we can start by looking at Natalia's comments and Erica's comments, and I will make it a little bit bigger. Here we go. All right. Is that big enough for everybody to read? So I'll assume that's a yes. Okay. Natalia, you got off to a great start. All right, Natalia, would you like to read your comments?
Sure.
Go for it.
I am glad despite this storm.
Despite.
Oh, sorry. I am glad despite this storm that you have arrived safely. Teacher, the photo I don't permit see the reading in my
really?
telephone.
Oh, okay.
The
Do we have,
camera-
oh, right, smaller screen, that happens sometimes. Would anybody, you want to hand off the reading to another student? You can choose. Another student can read for you if you like, and you can choose, Natalia. Who would you like to read your comments?
I can, Natalia.
All right,
Can I-
Narexi wants to. Okay, go for it, Narexi.
I am glad despite this storm that you have arrived safely and Nashville, and that you are where and nothing bad happened to you. I pray to God that you can be back here in Boston and everything goes well so that you can arrive safe and sound and continue with the English
Classes, good job.
classes.
All right. Now Natalia continued. Natalia, you were prolific. That means you were writing a lot. Would anybody else like to read Natalia's next comment?
Me, teacher.
Go for it, Glaucian. Oh, actually,
The whole class.
Marie, I just saw you raise your hand. Marie, you can read Erica's.
Oh.
Okay. All right, go for it, Glaucian.
The whole class is waiting for you, eager to know what your adventure was in Nashville.
Mhm.
Happy night, and you will be present in my prayers.
That's so sweet, Natalia. Thank you. Very good, very good. Now let's read from Erica's comment. Marie Lombard will read Erica's comment. Here we go.
Hi, Owen. Traveling is one of the best things in life. You meet new people and places. I hope you have many adventures and that Nashville surprises you. Good and safe trip.
All right. Very nice. Very nice from Erica. Okay, great. So what I'd love to do right now, for everybody who has not made a comment, send Owen a little greeting. You can open up the Google Classroom page and just send him here Wednesday when my colleague Mariana joins us. We'll go over these comments as well, and we can continue. This is what's called a public message board. So it's not like a private direct message email. It's something that you write that's meant to be read by everybody. So maybe you have a comment about his classes. Maybe he helped you out with one of the assignments. Anything you want to send, any message you'd like to send. Oh, and maybe you have a question about the city of Nashville. You know, say, hey, what are you up to in Nashville? What did you do over the weekend? Anything. So just a friendly message, and we can collect these, and you can comment on if you've already written a message. Say, Natalia, you've already written your message to Owen. Maybe you could respond to Erica's message, and Erica could respond to Natalia's message. Does everybody know how to respond to somebody else's message?
No.
I'll show you right here. When you click right here, it says reply to comment. So I know, Natalia, you're on your phone right now. It might be harder for you to see see it the way I see it, but can you, actually, Nerexi, can you reply to Natalia's message? Or one of Natalia's messages? Tell me when you're finished and then I'll refresh the page.
Yeah. First, I have to open the classroom.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
exactly. So you want to minimize the zoom. So where you see all of our faces,
Okay.
you minimize it, and then you open up Google Classroom.
Perfect. I need a few minutes, 1 minute.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. And while Nerexi does that, everybody can. Does everybody know how to minimize the Zoom page? Make it smaller on their screen. So you basically make me small, and then you bring up Google Classroom, the Google Classroom page, and everybody can take their time to leave a comment. I'll stop sharing my screen for the moment, and everybody can get into Google Classroom and practice leaving a comment on the message board. So remember to reply just below, when you leave a comment on one message board, remember to reply below here, below Owen's video. All right. So everybody knows what we're going to do first, what we're doing right now? Okay, great. I hear a lot of typing, a lot of clicking. Fantastic. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and everybody start sending a message to Owen. And I'll ask if anybody needs help. I'll message you on WhatsApp, okay? And Erica just joined us. Welcome, Erica. Guess what we're all doing right now? Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, teacher. I'm late.
You're fine. You're fine. So you might see everybody moving their fingers like this. Who wants to? Anybody want to tell Erica what we're doing right now?
Partner.
I'll tell Erica. So Erica, we just read your comment on Google Classroom. And everyone is doing the same, leaving a comment for a message for Owen or replying to someone else's comment.
Oh, I left my comment for Owen yesterday.
And it was lovely. Marie just read it.
Okay.
So since you already left your comment, Erica, you can go in and read someone else's comment.
Okay.
And leave do you know how to reply to a comment?
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to refresh the page. Take your time, everybody. Up. I see Perla's message.
Teacher,
Yes, Marie.
I finished to write my message. Now,
Wonderful.
what can I do, please?
Oh, okay. I think you need to press send. Let me share my screen real quick and tell me if you see what the same thing that I see. Okay, so if I'm writing my message, here is my message. Did you press this? Post?
Post it here.
Yes, as long, make sure it's in the right place below everyone else's. And then you press the little, that arrow, that paper airplane.
I did the mess. I write in the blank in the blank. In Google.
Oh, okay, so what you want to do is write it here. Do you see where everyone else is?
Oh,
Yep. We're actually, you know what? We're gonna go back to share it to blank Google Docs later in class. But for right now, we're all on
oh,
Google
okay.
Classroom.
Okay, I have to go in the Google Classroom.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And it's okay. You can copy and paste the message if you like.
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
So open up Google Classroom. That's where you see all the assignments, and it's right here on the stream, wherever, this is the public message board. So I see Perla, Glaucian, Rana.
No.
I'm gonna leave a message for Rana as well.
No, partner. Partner.
So I hear all the clicking. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Does anybody need help going into opening Google Classroom to find this?
I write my message in the black.
No, I know that, but I'll show you how to open Google Classroom. Do you see me sharing my screen now?
No.
Oh, okay, so you want to open up Zoom, open back up Zoom, and I'll show you where it is.
Okay. I'm here.
Okay, great. Now, do you see my screen, what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Okay, so this is where everybody's leaving their comments.
Sure. Teacher, I am
Yes.
finished, but I'm not sure if you recommend is good copy and paste in translate for better or no.
Well, you know what? Look, we can go over the grammar later.
Okay.
Right now, this is just an
Okay.
exercise and everybody posting on a message board.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. So that's okay. Worry about the grammar later. We'll go over that stuff on the next exercise.
Okay.
So Marie, you
There
see,
you go.
you see where this is, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So right here is where you can add your own comment down below. So if I want to comment on Erica's message, I can click that and leave a comment. Or if I want to just make a new comment.
Can I put my here?
Absolutely, yes.
Right
That's
now?
absolutely right. Yes, that's what everybody's,
Thank
you
you.
see where, do you see all your classmates
Yes.
put their message? Exactly.
Oh, teacher, I don't have that option that reply the other comments. Just
Okay.
I have three.
But
three.
Yeah.
I think it's only for teacher.
Okay. It could be.
Okay.
You should be able to comment on someone else's though. It might not
No.
look exactly the
Okay.
same on your screen.
Teacher, can you move it for me? I cannot. Can you move it for me, please? Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So I'll stop sharing now, and then I'll, in a minute, I'll refresh the page and we can look at everyone's comments. So this is less of an exercise in grammar, but more of a technology exercise. So everyone gets to practice sharing message on a message board. So writing like this is writing for everybody to see, different than a direct message to one person.
But I lost it.
It's okay. You can find it again. Just go back into the Google Drive and click the Google Classroom link. Good practice. I'll give everybody just a few more minutes and then we'll go into the next exercise. Oh, Natalia, you wrote a third message. Okay, I'm gonna write a comment to Natalia. Hold on.
I cannot find it.
It's okay. Just, it's back in the Google Drive where you see your Google Classroom feature. Okay, Natalia, everybody can see the message I just sent to Natalia. And you can see the smile on her face.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this is just one exercise. We'll actually continue with this a little bit on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I'll ask students to reply to other students' messages to exercise that feature. All right. And if you weren't able to get this working today, or maybe you're, I think some people might be like Garcon is at work right now. So you might actually not be able to sit down with a keyboard, which is fine. If you can't do that now, don't worry. We're going to move on to something else. So that was the first order of business, just exercising using a message board. So that's called a message board. And it's a good skill to use. Now I'm going to go into the end of chapter 2. Here we are. All right. Oh, actually, before I go to that, I need to go back to my slides. So I'm going back to the slides. So we're done with the message board. And since I'm going to share my screen, can everybody go back to the Zoom? Make sure their Zoom is open on their screen so they can see what I'm sharing. Great. Okay, wonderful job. So that was our first order of business, sending warm messages to Owen. Okay, last class, I introduced these two acronyms, USDA and FDA. Let's review those two. Who remembers what they stand for? USDA. You can raise your hand or send the hand raising emoji up.
It's Department of Agriculture of the United States.
Yes, excellent. So United States Department of Agriculture. Excellent. Good job, Glaucian. Who remembers what they do and what they regulate?
They regulate the food,
Yes.
the processing, the fabrication, and processing of food.
Yes, exactly. Agriculture, that's like anything grown on farms, animal products, basically food production. What we get in the supermarket has to be USDA approved. So last week, last week on Wednesday of last week, does everybody remember my background?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
I'll bring it back.
It's
Yeah,
a
I'll bring
cereal.
my cereal. I'll bring my I'll bring my cereal background again, just as a review, because it's fun. Here we go. So where's my cereal background? Here we go. Where did I put my cornflakes? There it is. Okay. All right. So this was my background last week. Now, last week I had cereal, and I posed the question, should the government get involved in your breakfast? And I was being just a little bit sarcastic, but it's true. If the milk you pour in your cereal is USDA approved, that means government plays a part in approving the food that we eat. So some people like that and feel comfortable knowing that government plays a part in our personal lives. Other people think that's too much interference, that we don't need so much government influence in our personal lives. And that's essentially the question that I asked for the writing assignment last week, and also what the end of chapter 2 gets into with the progressive era. When did government in this country begin to regulate the food that we eat? And I mentioned the Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906. That brings us to the next acronym, FDA. Who remembers what FDA stands for?
Food and Drug Administration.
Excellent, Marie. Fantastic. Well done. Food and Drug Administration. So when you go to Walgreens, if you get medicine, you get a prescription, anything that you get at the store in this country has to be FDA approved. And you've probably heard FDA more often with the pandemic in the last 2 years. For our vaccines that we get have to be FDA approved. And again, the question is, some people believe that that's a good thing. The government plays a part in our personal lives, regulating what is safe for us to put in our bodies. Other people think that is too much interference, that we should make up our own minds without government interference. And that's where the debate of consumer advocacy comes in with the reading. The end of chapter 2, we enter the progressive era. The progressive era, let's read all about it. So I'm going to leave my screen. I'll keep my, and I'll bring the cornflakes back, don't worry. So I'll leave my screen right here. And I'll go to the document camera. So here we are. Stop sharing my screen and there it is. So in your books on page 34, you have quotes from President Theodore Roosevelt. Now, Theodore Roosevelt was president when the Pure Food and Drug Act passed in 1906, and that created the FDA and the USDA. But the time period that this was when government started to play a bigger role in our personal lives, that's the progressive era. And I'm moving up my camera right here. the politics of progressivism. Politics of progressivism. And I'm going to focus my camera here just so everybody can see a little bit better. All right, everyone should be able to see that. Progressivism. That's a tough one to pronounce. Everyone can follow me with the pronunciation. Follow me. Progressivism.
Progressivism.
Very good. Very good. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of the V sound, that putting your your lower lip against your teeth. That progressivism. Progressivism. All right, and the article starts with a historic photograph. It says the 1902 coal strike in Pennsylvania. Does everybody remember the word strike from last class?
Yes.
What's a strike?
When the employees decided not to work because they are something is not okay for them.
Exactly. It's when, and does everybody remember the word, the phrase collective bargaining? Bargaining together. Or you probably remember this one. Union. Yeah. A group of workers who can organize collective bargaining for big companies. And a union can call a strike if they are not happy with their contracts. So I'm adjusting the camera here. Who would like to volunteer to read paragraph 1?
I want to read it, teacher.
Go for it, Alessi. Yes, it's so, Alessi, I know you've been working mornings, and it's so wonderful to hear your voice again. It's great that you're back. All right, so you can follow along. Progressivism.
Progressivism was an international movement in the early 20th century. Cities throughout the world experienced similar social strain arising from rapid industrialization and urban growth. In 1950, Paris and London were the only cities whose population exceeded 1 million. By, I don't know how to read this number.
1900.
1900, okay. There were 12, New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia in the United States, and others in Europe, Latin America, and Asia. Facing similar social problems, reformers across the globe exchanged ideas and envisioned new social policies. Sun Yat-sen, the Chinese leader, was influenced by the writings of Henry George and Edward Bellamy, the mayor of Osaka, Japan, called for a new social economy that replaced competition with cooperation.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in this paragraph besides the new vocabulary words.
Yeah.
There. So when I like to look at a complex paragraph like this, what I like to do is keep it simple. And a trick that I like to use to when there's a lot happening at once, remember, a paragraph is a group of sentences combined by a similar topic or idea. So what's the theme connecting this paragraph together? Because it's talking about cities around the world. Who could give me a few words to connect what's happening in this paragraph?
Teacher, what is the page?
Oh, this is page 35.
35?
Because it's not just talking about Chicago or Paris or London. It's saying that across Europe, the US, and in Asia, something's happening. What all is connecting?
It was an international movement, progressive.
Yes, Yeah. That's right there. Exactly. And you know what? Marie is on point. She referenced the topic sentence. Does everybody remember topic sentence? Progressivism was an international movement. Boom. That's the topic sentence. It clues in, it's a perfect topic sentence right there, because it's cluing in the reader what this is all about. Because when you can get lost, you can say, oh wait, something's happening in China. Oh wait, something's happening in Europe. What is this about? And then you're just scratching your head. The topic sentence right there tells us what's happening. Progressivism is international. My handwriting is not perfect there. I'm trying to write real small. I'm running out of space in the margins. Here we go. I'll say global. Progressivism is global. There it is. Progressivism is global. And it's the turn of the last century. So a little more than 100 years ago. New ideas are changing the world. And cities are getting bigger. So the same social problems are happening in a lot of different big cities. All right. Good job, everybody. Who would like to read the second paragraph?
Me, teacher.
Go for it, Glaucian.
As governments in Britain, France, and Germany instituted old age pensions, minimum wage laws, unemployment insurance, and the regulation of workplace safety. American reformers came to believe they had a lot to learn from the old world. The term social legislation means government action to address urban problems and the insecurities of working class life. Originated in Germany, but soon entered the political vocabulary of the United States.
Very nice, very nice. So one thing I'm going to underline here, which is colloquial. Colloquial means local, not exactly clear. The old world. In this context, what is the old world?
Europe.
Yes, exactly. Very good, Glaucian. Americans have often referred to Europe as being the old world. Because if we look at the Americas, if we look at a map of both of the Americas, North, South America together, it's a hodgepodge of former European colonies. So post-independence across the Americas, the old world is referred to as Europe. So we see at the bottom of the page, governments in Britain, that's the UK, and Germany and France instituted old age pensions, minimum wage laws, and unemployment insurance and regulation of workplace safety. So what is happening right here that relates to the writing assignment?
Before the instituted, they were not retired. The minimum wage laws, they couldn't pay which they decide to pay for employees.
Yes. So we see Germany, France, and England are instituting this minimum wage laws. And how that ties into our paper, government is doing what in these countries?
Regulation.
Yes, exactly, Perla. Good job. There's the vocabulary word. Government in these three countries is regulating business. Government is making business abide by new rules, creating guidelines for business. You cannot run a factory without a minimum wage. Other regulations, old age pensions. When people get to a certain age, the government has to assure that there is some safety net, some financial security for elderly. Unemployment insurance for when people lose their jobs. So all these regulations from government are starting to happen in these places. Now remember, the Industrial Revolution had already happened in Europe first, starting in England. So factories, cities growing, people leaving the countryside to get jobs and low-wage jobs in factories. This had already happened in Europe, which is called the Old World. So at this time, America was a developing country with a much younger government. So people working, like if I go to this picture of these coal workers on strike, people working here, they are trying to carve out rights for themselves. And this was called the American labor movement. If you have a business, oftentimes, is it easier to run the business in a developed country with rules or a developing country with less rules?
Sorry, teacher, what was the question again?
If you're running a business, is it easier to run the business in a developed country with rules and regulations established by government, or a developing country with likely fewer rules?
I think the second one.
Yes,
Yeah.
the second one.
Few rules.
Fewer rules. Can
Mhm.
anybody see any similarities today? Today, America is considered a developed country, part of the industrialized world.
Oh, yes.
So one thing I like to do with a lesson like this, everybody, I'm going to leave the camera from the page and go back to a background. Here we go. Let's go to, I'll go back to the cornflakes background. So everybody take a look at whatever you're wearing. Like this, I have a sweater on. I'm going to read the tag on my sweater and I'm going to tell you where it was made. Can everybody do the same? Find an item of clothing that you're wearing and read the tag to see where it was made. I'm going to do this without stretching it.
China.
I don't know.
All right, Malaysia for me. I'm wearing this.
Mine
I'm
says
wearing
Honduras.
Honduras. So China, Malaysia, Honduras,
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh,
Mine says Haiti.
Haiti. Don't stretch your clothes. It's just an exercise. You can just pick up something else. I mean, it doesn't have to be clothes. It could be anything in the room. Like, I mean, okay, my phone, I know came from this phone I know came from Shenzhen in China. But like basically the stuff that's made that we buy often will come from a developing, present progressive, developing country, and less likely to come from a developed country. That's generally the pattern of the way these things work. Why is that? Why does industry generally move toward developing countries? That's just a question for everybody.
Because the cost of production in these developing countries it's lower. So so people are paid less and they produce more.
Yes.
And yes, so I think that's the
Absolutely. Labor is one of the reasons. What's another reason? So definitely, if you're running a business,
of course, I think the fees, tax they pay, even the employees rights.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
The company.
Oh, if Alessi finish up, then we'll hear from Glaucian and Perla. Yeah. Go for it, Alessi. No, keep going, Alessi. What were you saying?
Oh, I was saying, sorry, I forgot.
It's okay.
I was saying the material, I don't remember the word now, the material they use to make the products are cheaper.
Raw materials.
Raw material, exactly, are cheaper.
Very good. Yeah, cheaper production costs, certainly. Glaucian and then Perla, what were you thinking?
The companies want to invest in countries when they can have more investment return.
Yes, okay. What do you mean by investment return?
More money, more I don't know how to say lucro, I don't know in English.
Profit, maybe.
Just a bigger profit margin.
Profit, yes.
Okay. Okay. Sure. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Nice. All right. Perla, you were saying something. What was it?
I think the company is looking for minimizing the price for pay less for the production and get more for example, more clothes.
When you say pay less for, did you say pollution or production?
Production.
Production, okay.
They pay less, they ask, it's more cheaper for the company go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like to, when you call T-Mobile, they know respond here in the United States. It's people from Guatemala or Mexico.
Yes, yes. Call centers around the world, yes.
I think that they try they could minimize their productions.
Yes, absolutely. Nice. Very good, very good. Now, what I'm going to do right now is, for time's sake, I'm not going to finish this article. You can read the rest of this on your own. But to wrap up the concept of the progressive era, labor was one of the great changes in the progressive era. The creation of, it took another generation past the progressive era to really get to where labor laws are in this country. For instance, a minimum wage. Today, each state has a minimum wage, and it's really up to the voters to put someone in office to advocate for workers in their state. So a minimum wage in Mississippi is much lower than a minimum wage in Massachusetts. Compensation for maternity leave, things like that. So each state in this country has different labor laws. But in terms of my background behind me, the idea of consumer advocacy, that's also a product of the progressive era, and it changed. For instance, in the 1950s, the US became the world's largest car maker. And then, of course, there would be more competition from Germany and Japan, and now China is the largest producer of cars. But there were a lot of safety standards applied over time. For instance, if you bought a car in the 1950s, there might not be a seatbelt. The idea that you have to get your car inspected and a sticker from a mechanic, a licensed mechanic, that says your car is safe to drive, that's new. It's of the last 35 years. The idea that each state inspects your car and then registers your car as safe to drive. That's also government regulation for consumers. The government looking out for you, taking a parental role. Some people believe that that's too much. Other people believe it's not enough and that there needs to be more government regulation for consumers. What about countries that are still developing? I have the cornflakes behind me. What do people do if they're in places where government does not regulate consumer goods? There is no USDA, there is no FDA. If you're living in a place where the government does not inspect the medicine that you buy that's prescribed to you from a doctor, what in the world can people do? Can people, or
Crazy.
what if you live in, yeah, tell us, Perla.
Is the government not has any regulation, is everything is go crazy because you know what can they put in your food or what kind of food you eat it, they put anything, or can you go to the pharmacy if you can get over the counter any medication? That's get crazy.
With that, it's, well, you're saying crazy. It is in fact a reality for a lot of people. And living abroad myself, I've experienced this, knowing, going to the store and then thinking, wait a minute, take a product off the shelf. Do this thing that I'm buying, that I'm going to bring home to feed my kids, is it real or is it fake? Americans don't always think about this, but people around the world do have to think about this. What do you do if you can't rely on government? You can't trust government, or that's just not the government's job. What is it that you can do if you can't trust the government to look out for consumers? In that case, there are ways around it. I am going to give everybody a break for a minute, but I want everyone to Google this name. Okay, here's the name. I'm sharing my screens. Okay, the name is Bright Simmons. Okay, now everybody Google Bright Simmons. He is from Ghana, and he was a tech entrepreneur, but he decided to go into pharmaceuticals. In Ghana, he noticed a big problem. That's Ghana, it's in West Africa. He noticed a lot of people were buying medicine, but they could not know if the medicine they were buying at the pharmacy was real or if it was fake. And he developed a system for consumers to check. And this is a system that has nothing at all to do with the government. What did he do? Everybody, Google Bright Simmons. He's an entrepreneur, tech entrepreneur in Ghana. Now, while you Google Bright Simmons, that's BRIGHT SIMMONS, I'm going to give everybody a 10-minute break. So 10 minutes, take a break. But before you do, just write down the name Bright Simmons. And when we come back in 10 minutes, I'm going to ask, who is Bright Simmons and what is his innovation?
Okay.
All right. Sound good?
Teacher, Sandex,
SIMMONS.
could you write in the chat, please?
Sure, sure. Oh, I put it up on the screen. I'll write it in the chat as well. You got it. Whoop. Okay. And let me know when everybody's got the name to Google, and then I'll send everybody on a 10-minute break.
I got it.
Great, great, great.
Yes, me too.
Okay, great. I'm gonna send everybody on a 10-minute break now. Here we go. Okay, take a break, everyone. Go grab a cup of coffee. Do what you need to do. And we are back. We are back. Here we go. Excellent. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Oh my goodness, Tavares, you are driving, my friend. Watch the road. Please don't watch the screen. Don't watch us. Don't look at us.
Just
Okay.
reading, teacher.
Okay, good. Make sure you do not look at us, please. We want you to drive safely, okay?
Thank you.
All right, it's great to see you. I love the enthusiasm, but be safe. And you know, can everybody imagine if Tavares gets pulled over, and then we can all tell the officer, "Hello, we're watching you. We see everything you're doing." Officer would have to be very careful with Tavares. All of us, the whole class is watching.
Teacher. Just
all right. If you get pulled over if the police pull you over, keep it on. We'll all serve as witness.
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right, here we go. So let's go back to the slideshow. Here we are. All right. So who could tell me, when they Googled the name Bright Simmons, what did they find? Who is this guy?
Teacher, I found a lot of information.
All right. Now it is a fairly common name. It's this. I put his picture there. Did you, Alessi, tell us a little bit what you find.
So I found that is a Ghanaian social innovator, entrepreneur. Is a writer, social and political commentator.
Yes.
Commentator, yes, and is the vice president at Imani Center of Policy and Education, and I did a research on that one.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and yes, I didn't go. I didn't the research on exactly what is the this idea of the thing that you say, teacher.
It's okay. It's
controlling the medications, you said?
Yep, it's okay. He's done a lot. He's done quite a lot. I'm going to show you one moment exactly what he's done. Here we go.
Teacher.
Oh, sorry. Here is a TED Talk of the journalist Toby Shapshak. I'm only going to show you a sample of it that mentions Bright Simmons. And when he describes what Bright Simmons innovation is, I want to ask, is this enough? Is it enough? Meaning, this particular innovation, is it enough? So I've got we couldn't quite hear you, Erica. Okay. All right, so here we go. I'm going to play this short video, but only a sample of it. And then I'm going to ask everyone, is this enough? So the speaker here is Toby Shapshak. He's a South African journalist, and he talks about innovation across Africa. When he gets to Bright Simmons, I'm going to pause it.
And send Gmail from a phone like this. So we have found a way to use the available technology to send money via M-Pesa, which is a bit like a check system for...
Sorry.
this. So we have found a way to use the available technology to send money via M-Pesa, which is a bit like a check system for the mobile age. I come from Johannesburg, which is a mining town. It's built on gold. There's a picture I Instagrammed earlier. And the difference today is that the gold of today is mobile. If you think about the railroad system in North America and how that worked, first came the infrastructure, then came the industry around it. The brothels, it's a bit like the internet today, right? And everything else that worked with it, bars, saloons, etc. The gold of today is mobile, and mobile is the enabler that makes all of this possible. So what are some of the things that you can do with it? Well, this is by a guy called Bright Simons from Ghana, and what you do is you take medication, something that some people might spend their entire month's salary, and you scratch off the code and you send that to an SMS number, and it tells you if that is legitimate or if it's expired. Really simple, really effective, really life-saving. In Kenya, there's a service called iCow, which just sends you really important information about how to look after dairy. The dairy business in Kenya is a $463 million business. And the difference between...
So, sorry, my screen kept bouncing there. But he first talked about Bright Simons and his innovation. And it's really quite simple, but here it is. I'll slow it down just a little bit. So I put the speed at normal. Now I'm going to put it at 175, at 75%. Here we go.
The internet today, right? And everything that makes all of this possible. So what are some of the things that you can do with it? Well, this is by a guy called Bright Simons from Ghana. And what you do is you take medication, something that some people might spend their entire month's salary, and you scratch off the code and you send that to an SMS number, and it tells you if that is legitimate or if it's expired.
So that's his innovation. Quite simple, but it's essentially what we wouldn't think of in this country because we depend on the FDA. So who could describe, right here it says, something that some people might spend their entire month's salary on, their medication. So that's really, really important. How do you know if the medication is real or if it's expired and trying to be sold after it's expired?
Entire month's salary, and you scratch off the code and you send that to an SMS number, and it tells you if that is legitimate or if it's expired.
Legitimate. The word legitimate, that means good, official, real. Legitimate. Illegitimate means it's not real. So my question to everybody, is that enough? That's what I put here on the left side of the screen. So in Ghana, if you buy your medication, you look at the box, scratch off a code, put the number into a text message, and somebody will send you a text back, yes or no.
But this every medication, teacher?
Well, I can't answer that, but that's the innovation here. And that's the innovation here. It's a way for people to verify their medication. What does everybody think about that? Is that enough?
I think it's not enough.
I don't think so.
I think if we talk about Ghana, I think it's enough, because I think the people there didn't have our phones here, the new phone or with touch or iPhones or something like this.
Well, if we're talking about medication, what does that have to do with
this is
the phone
because I think this way is the He said in the video, we use what we have
Yes.
to do something.
Yes.
Yes. So this way is the in Ghana. I talk about Ghana. It's the perfect way to know how, if the medication is good or not.
You're
so
right.
I think it's enough.
Okay, you're right that he is talking about things you can do with simple mobile phones, like a flip phone or an old Nokia. That is true.
Yes.
That's kind of. But in terms of verification, that's a situation where the government is not necessarily expected to regulate this or trust it in this case. And then he gives an example about dairy products in Kenya, and he goes across Africa. So I love that you're speaking right now to us from North Africa. So in a situation where people don't rely on government for these protections, what is it that people can do? Well, people find ways to advocate for themselves, to know if the medication they put in their body is safe or not. And that's one of the ingenious innovations here. But my question, is that enough? And quickly, Glaucia, and I think it was Perla, some other people were saying, no, we need government to do this. Government has to step in and tell us if the medication we're buying at the over the counter is real or if it is fake. I'm going to send this to a breakout room discussion.
Okay, teacher, I have a question first.
Yeah.
What happened with the medication says this statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration?
That means it's not it has not been evaluated? Yeah,
it's over the counter. What happened? We can buy it, that's it?
Well, that's telling you it's not evaluated by FDA.
Yeah, I know, but they can sell like this, no problem.
Well, perhaps it's not being sold as medication. What exactly are you reading?
This is vitamins.
Oh, vitamins. Okay. Yeah, vitamins. Vitamins can be are not quite, they're not as serious.
Oh, okay.
They're not considered like a drug that needs to be regulated like that.
Okay.
But I'm glad you're starting to read these labels. For some people, if they look at a package and say, oh, it has not been FDA approved, maybe I won't buy it. And that makes you a much more smarter consumer when you're shopping. You might pause and think, do I want to put this in my body? Maybe, maybe not. So the question for the breakout rooms, is that enough? Buying medication, scratching off a number, sending a text message, and getting a result. Yes, it's real. No, it's not real. Is that enough? Or do we need government to step in and regulate medication? So that's a question for a quick breakout room. I'll put everyone into 3 breakout rooms. Does everybody understand the questions?
Yes.
Okay, so I put here, do we need government for consumer advocacy? And the instance of Bright Simons, is this enough? Just sending a text message when you buy your medicine. Is that enough? Yes or no? Gerson, question.
Okay, I have to go.
No problem, no problem.
But
all right,
I gotta
not a
check the
problem.
video.
I know you're working. No
Thank
worries.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, so quick breakout room. Here we go. 3 breakout rooms. And the question, is this enough? Or do we need government for consumer advocacy? Okay, you can join your breakout rooms now.
electricity industry, come one with it. There's another great African that you've heard that's busy